This guy was working at his mom's pastry shop. That's when he noticed the girl sitting alone, quietly enjoying her dessert. But the moment she locked eyes with him, she started choking on air and bolted out of the shop in a full sprint. Was it because of his intimidating face? Or did she just fall in love at first sight? Let me give you some context. His name is Rintaro, and no, he's not a criminal or some school delinquent. He's just a normal high schooler with an unfortunate gift, a terrifying face that scares everyone around him. But behind that cold expression is one of the kindest, most soft-hearted people you'll ever meet. That same day, two of his friends were caught in a heated argument with a pair of troublemakers. But the moment Rintaro walked onto the scene, the two punks took one look at him and ran for their lives. His friends just sighed. You really need to stop scaring people. One of these days, it's gonna backfire. Rintaro recognized the two guys. Just yesterday, they were bullying a kid near his house and left him sobbing in the street. So, being the gentle soul he is, Rintaro tried to check in on the kid and make sure he was alright. But the second the kid turned around and saw Rintaro's face, he literally wet himself from fear. His friends couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, honestly, can't blame him. Suddenly, two girls from the fancy all-girls school pass by and instantly go from giggling to ghost mode. One of them drops a handkerchief. Brown hair bends down like a true gentleman to return it, and Shorty goes full Ice Queen like, ew, throw it away. I'm not using something a peasant touched. Damn. But he shrugs it off. Everyone already knows those girls act like they're royalty from Bridgerton, and the boys next door are just NPCs. Their school is like Hogwarts for rich mean girls. Meanwhile, the boys' school is a daycare for delinquents. Anyway, Brown here tries to invite Rintaro to karaoke after school, but RMC is like, can't. Gotta go grind IRL. Mom's bakery needs a carry. Cue Rintaro sprinting through the rain. He gets home soaked only to get roasted for being late. Mom hands him the apron like, here, congrats, you're employee of the month now. Dude didn't even want the job. While stocking pastries, he spots a red umbrella in the basket. He peeks out and noticed a girl sitting alone. When she saw him, she choked on her own breath. He rushes over, hands her a water like, my bad, didn't mean to jump scare you into another dimension. Then he notices a stack of plates she ordered. Like, wait, this tiny girl eats like a trucker? But before he could even say anything, she panics and bolts out the store. Rintaro's just standing there like, great, I scared her off again. Later that night, Mom's like, yeah, that's Garuko. She comes by once a month for sweets. Didn't think your face would terrify her into a sprint. Then adds, but hey, don't blame yourself. If she doesn't come back, I'll just trap her with free pastries. Next morning, Rintaro's overthinking every life choice, trying to plan a full apology mission. But his friend pulls up like, yo, lunch? And Rintaro just puts a hand on his shoulder like he's going to war. Today, I eat alone. Back home, mid-manga grind, Mom storms in. Somebody's here to see you. He walks downstairs. It's Garuko, standing there, low-key nervous, and what does she say? Let me treat you to a meal. Rintaro is shook. They sit down. She's got a strawberry cake in front of her, and he's just blinking like, wait, she's treating me to our cake from our store? She lowers her head. Sorry for running away yesterday. Then lifts her gaze, eyes locked on the cake, drooling like she hasn't eaten in 84 years. She looked too cute chunking on that cake, like a little gremlin that just discovered sugar. So Rintaro, being the low-key softie he is, slides the plate over like, if you like it, go ahead and finish it. No need to be shy. And guess what? Homegirl didn't hesitate. She devoured that slice like it owed her money. After licking the plate clean, Garuko smiled and said, you're probably still shocked that a girl can eat this much. Turns out that day she came in, nobody else was in the shop and her cravings took the wheel, so she just sat down and ate like she was in a mukbang livestream. Meanwhile, Rintaro's sitting there like, okay, but why is this girl even interested in me? And then she dropped the bomb. I finally found you. Dude thought it was some fairy tale line, but nah. Apparently she knew he worked there sometimes and had been coming back just hoping to run into him. Kinda stalkerish, yes. Kinda cute, also yes. She blushed and said, the first time you looked straight at me, my heart went boom. And Ritaro was just short-circuiting like, wait, hold up. When I stare at people, they usually either scream or switch schools. But this girl, she's into it? Unable to process these unfamiliar feelings, aka emotional riz overload, Ritaro just stood up and offered to walk her to the station. Because obviously, walking alone at night in anime equals guaranteed danger flag. At the door, she thanked him with a box of leftover sweets in hand and said, it's okay, I can get there myself, it's not far. But right before leaving, she turned back with a smile that could cure seasonal depression and said, you know,
I never thought you were scary, not even a little. Then she dipped, casually dropping the most wholesome mic of the century. She even said she hoped they talk again soon, completely unaware that someone shady was already watching her. Back at home, loud noises upstairs. Rintaro's mom yells, "Turn it down! You're not in a nightclub." But our boy, he's just curled up in his room replaying everything like a rom-com binge session. All his life, people avoided him because of his villain face. And now this girl, this actual anime cinnamon roll, she's the first one to see past the exterior. Rintaro's chest is doing parkour with feelings he's never felt before. Suddenly, mom barges in like, "Hey, you said you walked that girl home, right? Then why is her pastry box outside our store?" At the very same time, those two punk delinquents from earlier, yeah, they cornered Karuko in a back alley with bad intentions.
Noticing a weird stain on the cake box, Rintaro instantly got that anime sixth sense. Something wasn't right, so he booked it, running through the streets like a budget superhero. After scanning half the neighborhood, he finally spots her, Karuko, cornered by those two punk goblins from yesterday. He was about to jump in and shut it down when the clown started yapping like, "You know that Rintaro guy? Total thug. Classic low-tier delinquent vibes. Dude only goes to that trash school because he can't make real friends." Rintaro didn't flinch. He's used to that slander. But what got him sweating was the fear that Karuko might believe them. Except, nah, she stood her ground. You don't know him. Don't judge someone off a rumor. And don't talk trash behind his back. It's gross. Let's just say the goons did not like that sass. One of them balled his fist, ready to swing, but Rintaro stepped in like a wall of steel, took the hit head-on, and shielded her with his whole body. Blood dripping, he snarled, "You guys bored of living or what?" The goons? Instant regret. They immediately ran for their lives. Karuko, panicking, pulled out a handkerchief, dabbing the blood off his face. Tearing up, she whispered, "I'm sorry. This happened because of me." But Rintaro just smiled, wiping the moment clean with a soft voice. "If I stepped in sooner, this wouldn't have happened. I'm sorry for dragging you into this." Hearing her words, how she defended him, how she believed in him, it hit him deep. For the first time, someone didn't flinch at his face, didn't write him off as a menace. Karuko gently wiped away the last streak of blood and murmured, "I don't understand why people think you're scary. You're kind. You saved me." And that broke something in him, in a good way. Rintaro had been treated like a monster for so long, but this girl's warmth, it felt like sunlight breaking through a dungeon. He walked her to the station, and just before she left, that smile again, that damn smile. "Next time, let's eat cake together, okay?" Bro stood there frozen, that grin permanently stamped on his heart. As Rintaro walked away, Karuko, now alone, let out the blush she was holding back the whole time. She could still feel the warmth of his hand, the way he protected her. Meanwhile, Rintaro sat in class like a zombie, couldn't even blink, couldn't focus. His mind was 100% Karuko core. He glanced out the window, casually checking the all-girls school, and there she was, behind the curtain, staring back, eyes locked. Heart racing, he yanked the curtain shut like he just saw a jump scare. Wait a damn minute, she's a student at that school? Rintaro had finally met someone who didn't fear his face, but she just so happens to attend Kikyo, the school that hates his entire existence. Brown-haired guy Sohei was already complaining on how Kikyo girls were roasting him with their usual side-eyes. He wasn't even supposed to be at Chidori, aka the boys' school. It's just that no other school wanted to admit someone as academically challenged as him. Even Saku, their so-called ladies' man, got hit with the same cold glare. That's probably why he hates Kikyo girls with a passion. Saku asked Rintaro what happened to his forehead, but the poor guy was too deep in Karuko thoughts to even register it. His friends noticed that Rintaro was closing the curtains next to him. Sohei assumed Rintaro was finally sick of seeing Kikyo too, but Rintaro panicked. "Nah, it's just the sun, bro, it's bright today." Bro really tried to gaslight the sun. Earlier, he thought he saw Karuko's expression go blank, like she regretted everything. Maybe she wouldn't come to the shop anymore. And maybe that was for the best. Chidori and Kikyo kids weren't meant to mix anyway, right? Later that day, Sohei invited Rintaro to hang out. Since he wasn't working, he said yes. But as they stepped outside, a crowd was forming near the gate. A Kikyo girl was waiting for someone at Chidori. Wild. And it wasn't just any girl, it was Karuko.
Sohei immediately jumped in and said madly, "What's a Kukyo girl doing here?"
Rintaro pulled Sohei into a chokehold and apologized to Karuko for his friend's brain-dead behavior. Sohei, of course, started raging. Who the heck was this lucky guy that a Kikyo girl came all the way here to see? Just then, 2 other Kikyo girls stormed over to drag Karuko back. Apparently, standing near Chidori boys might give you dumb germs. Sohei asked for an apology after they bumped into him, but the girls ghosted him. He swore he'd never forget this disrespect. Meanwhile, Rintaro acted like he didn't even know Karuko, but deep down he was wondering, she really came here just to see me. And that thought made him smile so bright it triggered a gag reflex in his friends. Bro, close your mouth, we trying to keep our lunch down. Rintaro felt so happy she came, but still, maybe it was better if they stayed apart. Later at karaoke, Saku noticed Rintaro was zoning out hard, even during the chorus of their go-to song. He asked what was up, even brought up Rintaro's forehead wound again, but Rintaro hesitated. His friends hated Kikyo girls, and he knew it, so he played it off. Nah, nothing's wrong. He apologized for worrying them, and they backed off. The group sang until the voices cracked. After heading home, Rintaro was shocked to see Karuko waiting inside the shop. She had waited that long. She apologized, said she underestimated how deep the beef between Chidori and Kikyo really was. His mom was not having it, scolding Rintaro for making the poor girl wait until nighttime. She invited Karuko for some leftover pastries. Karuko tried to decline, but her stomach said, I ain't waiting any longer. So she stayed. While eating, he asked why she was waiting at Chidori earlier. She said, I wanted to see you. Rintaro's heart did a flip-flop. He accidentally let out that he was happy to see her too, then instantly panicked and begged her to forget he ever said it. But Karuko didn't want to forget, which made things so awkward they had to switch topics real fast. Rintaro confessed he didn't think she'd ever come back once she found out he was from Chidori. And honestly, he wouldn't blame her. People like me don't bring anything good. But Karuko shut that down immediately. When she found out Rintaro was from Chidori, she was happy. That threw him off completely. It was getting late, so she said goodbye. Rintaro didn't want her to leave, but she had to. Before heading off, Karuko made it clear, I am really happy that we are school neighbors. But right after showing that warm smile, she walked away with this low-key sad face. Rintaro couldn't stop thinking about it. She didn't even finish her pastry, and for a girl who treats cake like oxygen, that was a red flag. Then he realized he had heard her. His mom showed up and immediately noticed Rintaro looking like a starved skeleton. He told her what happened and she thumped him on the forehead, straight to the wound. He asked her, why the hell is Karuko seeing me even though I'm a Chidori student? His mom was like, look how Karuko was thrilled when she knew that you were from Chidori. Unlike you, you're treating her just as a Kikyo student. You're no different than people who treat you like garbage just because you're from Chidori. Then it hit him hard. So what'd he do? He punched himself in the face. Bro really said, I deserve hands, and delivered. That slap of reality made him realize he'd become just like the people he hated. He was ashamed, but also grateful to his mom. The next morning, Rintaro posted up early at the school gate like he was waiting for a boss battle. When Karuko showed up, she was shook. He immediately apologized. Karuko blanked. What are you apologizing for? Rintaro admitted it. He's seen her sad face when she left the shop the other day. That awkward silence, that heavy vibe, he saw it all. And Karuko, absolutely mortified. Girl wanted to teleport to another dimension. She confessed she was upset, but it was her own fault. She dipped without saying anything and made things weird. She thought Rintaro was kind, and she apologized too. Karuko had always been upfront with him, so now it was his turn to be honest. He asked to take back what he said yesterday, and then he apologized for seeing the world in black and white. Chidori versus Kikyo, and not just Karuko. Low-key, that was basically a confession. And Karuko smiled like the sun came out. She reintroduced herself properly. I'm Karuko, you're Rintaro. Doesn't matter what school we go to, I just want to get to know you more. Rintaro was living the dream. Since it was early, they had a little window-to-window moment. The world Rintaro always felt so distant from, thanks to Karuko, it didn't feel so far anymore. Meanwhile, summer hit. Like full-on sweat and regret levels of heat. Rintaro and Sohei were hyped. Sports day was coming, time to get that trophy and flex for the class. But then their homeroom teacher dropped the bomb. Y'all failing students aren't going anywhere unless you pass your midterms. Cue Sohei screaming like a toddler denied ice cream. Turns out the teacher was kinda nice about it. He promised to treat them to ice cream if they passed and brought home the championship. Sohei went full panic mode. Man couldn't focus for 10 minutes, let alone study. Desperate times call for desperate tutors. He begged Saku to help him. Problem? Saku already tried teaching them last year and both still failed spectacularly, like crash and burn levels. Iorita couldn't help either, dude wasn't Saku tier smart. It looked hopeless. Saku, being the petty king he is, said, I'm not about to carry 2 academic potatoes again. Meanwhile, Rintaro's mom was scheming. There was a shop sale, and she wanted Karuko to come visit. Something about, haven't seen my future daughter-in-law in a while. Rintaro texted Karuko, heart pounding, but she didn't reply for a whole day. When she finally did, she said she was too busy this month to visit. Rintaro was crushed. Later, Sohei dragged him to the city library. because their school one didn't even have a... Rintaro saw through the plan. Sohei was avoiding Saku after a fight. But without Saku, no one was smart enough to teach these two walking F grades. Rintaro told him, just apologize bro, we need him. And surprisingly, Sohei agreed. Because just like Rintaro, he really wanted to join the sports fest too. He left to go find Saku and drag him back into the fold. Left alone, Rintaro gave up his seat to some younger girls who were searching for a spot. On his way out, he overheard a familiar name, Karuko. He turned the corner, and there she was. So that's why she was busy. Turns out Karuko was grinding hard for exams just like him. Rintaro watched from afar, amazed at this other side of her. She was the top student in her elite school, and she wasn't doing it for anyone else. This was her own goal. She was just built different. Meanwhile, Rintaro was the opposite. He'd been failing since birth, and even with Saku tutoring him last year, he still flopped. He was ready to give up again until he saw Sohei's determination and Karuko's resilience. And suddenly, jump scare, Karuko appeared right in front of him. She said she thought she saw someone tall outside and decided to grab a bite. She was super sorry she couldn't visit the store. She'd been saving money and cutting back on spending. Girl was budgeting like a queen. Rintaro was surprised. A rich girl with a part-time job? But nope, Karuko dropped the truth. Her family wasn't rich. She got into Kikiyo on a scholarship. And to keep that scholarship, she had to stay number 1 in her class. She was barely sleeping. Sometimes she had to pinch herself in class to just stay awake. She didn't come from money, but she was earning her spot at an elite school. Her dad gave her one shot, and she was doing everything not to waste it. Rintaro was floored. The more he learned about her, the more he realized how wrong he'd been about her this whole time. So right then and there, he asked, "Will you teach me how to study?" He didn't want to fail this time. Didn't want to keep quitting. Even if it was just when she had free time, he needed help. Karuko smiled. "I'd love to." But just as things were finally looking cute again, new girl alert, a silver-haired baddie pulled up like, "Who's this Chidori delinquent talking to my girl?" Rintaro caught in 4K, Subaru unimpressed. Her verdict? You go to Chidori? Stay away from Karuko.
Karuko didn't even get the chance to explain herself to Subaru before Rintaro's whole squad barged into the library. Yeah, things were officially going downhill. Everyone already knew Sohei and Saku had zero tolerance for the girls from Kikyo. And Subaru? She wasn't exactly thrilled about hanging around a bunch of wild boys from Chidori either. So naturally, tension exploded. Sohei started giving Karuko a hard look, like he'd seen her somewhere before. But before he could even open his mouth, Rintaro and Subaru stepped in to shut that down. Once the heat cooled off, Rintaro realized something weird. His body had moved on pure instinct to defend her. Subaru grabbed her stuff and stormed off, not forgetting to throw in one last jab at Chidori students, which ticked off Saku big time. He clapped back with some sharp words about Subaru and the Kikyo crowd. Saku then reminded everyone that Karuko was the girl who'd been spotted waiting outside Chidori's school gate. Rintaro quickly explained that he just ran into Karuko at the library and was trying to apologize for scaring her the last time they met. He admitted that he was the one who started talking to her, not the other way around. And just when Sohei realized he was the one who'd actually startled her before, he stepped up and gave a surprisingly sincere apology. Subaru looked stunned. Karuko also bowed to apologize, thinking she was the reason the situation blew up in the first place. The Chidori boys were even more shocked by her humility. Subaru, however, freaked out. She didn't want people seeing a Kikyo girl bowing to a bunch of Chidori dudes in public. But Karuko, stubborn as ever, insisted that Subaru apologize too, which just made Subaru huff and storm off, leaving everyone confused. Meanwhile, Saku still hadn't apologized, so Sohei teased him about it. Saku's excuse? He didn't want their group becoming some circus act for Subaru to laugh at. Weirdly, that little clash actually brought Sohei and Saku closer. As for Rintaro, he couldn't stop thinking about why Subaru gave him that sharp look before walking away. Subaru, meanwhile, was still stewing over the Chidori boys. But deep down, she was starting to doubt everything. Sohei and Rintaro seemed too genuine. And seeing Karuko smile while talking to Rintaro, that rattled her. So she straight up asked Karuko what kind of person Rintaro really was. Karuko smiled and simply said, "He's a good guy." That answer stayed in her head way longer than it should have. Maybe not all the rumors about Chidori kids were true after all.
Later that evening, Rintaro's back home, trying to force some study time. Right then, his phone rings. It's Karuko. He answers a little too quickly and realizes he kind of used his polite, slightly squeaky voice. Yeah, that one. They both laugh it off and start apologizing for what happened earlier in the library. Turns out, they both think their friends aren't that bad after all. Then, out of nowhere, Karuko tells him he looked pretty cool when he stood up for her. That catches him completely off guard. No one's ever said that to him before. She then suggests they should study together sometime, which sounds great, but Rintaro starts noticing something. She's still talking to him super formally, like she's afraid to cross a line. So he gently brings it up, and she replies with, "Well, I'm just a customer at your family shop." That hits him a little harder than expected. He thought they were starting to get closer, but instead of sulking, he takes a breath and says, "You don't have to be formal with me, you know?" There's a small pause, and then she agrees. Just like that, things feel a little warmer between them. They hang up, both a little nervous, but smiling.
Finally, Saturday rolled in. Rentaro woke up at the crack of dawn, heart racing. He couldn't even count how many times he'd reread their chat history. His whole mind was just Karuko. He threw on his usual clothes and headed out with that usual serious face. The streets looked familiar, but today, it felt like he was walking into a new world. He got to the meetup spot early, but Karuko was already there. This time, they dropped the formal speech and talked like actual friends. Karuko looked a little shy, but they settled into it quickly and headed to her favorite cafe. It had the perfect setup for studying. And most importantly, the food was fire. Rentaro was so focused on Karuko that he forgot she was a total foodie. Whenever she ate, she looked like the happiest human alive. Once her stomach was full, they kicked off the study session. Karuko started teaching him math and told him not to be shy about asking questions. As Rentaro opened his notebook, Karuko leaned in close to look, and when they both realized how close they were, their faces turned bright red. Rentaro tried to snap himself back to focus. But in his mind, how am I supposed to focus when I just got a full dose of vitamin Her? Then, Karuko suddenly asked, "Why do you want to pass this exam so badly?" Rentaro paused before answering honestly, that after the test comes the school sports festival, and he really wanted to join his friends instead of being stuck in remedial classes. That answer hit Karuko right in the feels. It showed he truly cared about his friends, and maybe, just maybe, he loved them. Hearing that nearly made Karuko choke on her drink from laughing too hard. Rentaro looked like his soul left his body from embarrassment. Karuko confessed she really cherishes her friends, especially Subaru, who's been by her side since they were little gremlins. Back then, Subaru got into some messy drama with a bunch of dudes, and ever since, she's had a vendetta against the entire male species. So when Karuko saw Rentaro didn't assume the worst about Subaru, she felt genuinely touched. Who knew a guy could not be trash? Anyway, after that heartfelt little moment, they both dove back into study mode. Rentaro couldn't believe how long he stayed focused. And just when he thought Karuko couldn't get more goated, she hand-wrote a cheat sheet of potential exam questions and personalized tips just for him. Man was low-key ready to propose on the spot. She even said she hoped he'd pass so he could join the school sports festival and later tell her all the juicy highlights. Rentaro dead-ass swore on his life he'd aced his test just for her. But just as he cracked open the study notes, Subaru pulled up and dragged him to a cafe for a little chat. And for the first 10 minutes, sis was dead silent. Then she hit him with the, "Are you Karuko's boyfriend or what?" out of nowhere. Bro choked on his soul. He tried to explain he's not her boyfriend, but also not something. Subaru, though, wasn't buying it. She straight up told him to stay away from Karuko, for her own good. Rentaro knew this wasn't just high school beef. It was deeper. Subaru legit feared what would happen if a Kikyo student like Karuko got caught messing with a Chidori boy like him. Subaru finally opened up about the reason behind her overprotectiveness. Turns out, when they were kids, Subaru used to get bullied for her unique hair, and Karuko was the only one who stood up for her. That moment burnt into her soul. Karuko wasn't just her friend, she was her superhero. So yeah, Subaru wasn't just gatekeeping Karuko, she was trying to protect the only safe, beautiful thing she had left, even if it meant being hated. She begged Rentaro to cut ties, but Rentaro, man, remembered every laugh, every little moment with Karuko, and knew there was no going back. He apologized, respectfully, but said no. He couldn't walk away from her. Subaru, already expecting that answer, said nothing. After he left, even she didn't know what the hell she was doing anymore. Back on the train, Rentaro tried to go back to studying, but Subaru's words were echoing in his brain like a bad mixtape. That was until two girls he once helped in the library popped up again. They finally got the chance to thank him properly. Rentaro, being the cinnamon roll he is, asked how they were doing in school, though they looked like they thought he was about to devour them alive. But hey, given with his terrifying face, they admitted he was actually a nice guy. With that wholesome side quest complete, Rentaro's thoughts went right back to Karuko, and honestly, he had no regrets for sticking to his feelings. Fast forward to the day the midterm results came in. The classroom went feral. Rentaro and Sohei both passed, and the squad was hyped like they just won nationals. Sohei looked like he studied himself into an eye condition, and Rentaro was just overjoyed he didn't flop. Even their teacher, Mr. Suka, was holding back tears,
until the class reminded him that Saka was the real MVP for tutoring those bozos. But Rentaro was secretly thankful to his girl. This was the first time in forever he felt proud. He reached for his phone to tell Karuko the good news, but Subaru's words haunted him. If any teacher found out Karuko was vibing with the Chidori guy, it could ruin everything. But fate, as always, had other plans. In the chaos of the classroom, Rentaro's notebook spilled open, and right there was something even he hadn't seen before. A handwritten message from Karuko wishing him luck on the test.